Hello and welcome to A Little Crafting. My name is Annie and this is my video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been making. It has been quite some time since I last recorded. Today is the 16th of July and it has been hot in the UK, so I have not had much knitting mojo. It's just been a time for just not doing anything, not moving, keeping hydrated, and I've been also looking after my now 10-month-old baby daughter, who is absolutely wild and moves everywhere now, so that's hard work. I've been finding a bit of time in the evenings just to do some crafting here and there, but by no means a lot, especially during the day with the heat. So I wanted to wait until I had a bit more content to actually record, and then it's been tricky to find some time where I've got a moment to actually do so. So my daughter is sleeping right now. I hope that lasts for a bit. It might be that I have to cut and carry on later today, but let's see. And yeah, that's where we are at the moment. For anyone else in the UK, I hope you've been managing the heat okay. It's one of those things where people go, oh, it's not that hot, when they're from countries that get really hot, but we are just not equipped for the heat here. Our houses are very, very well insulated to keep heat in, especially in our house, which is a new build. So just trying to stay cool as much as possible, fans on, water, living in the dark basically with everything shut, to try and keep the inside of the house cool. So yeah, let me jump right into a couple of finished objects. So last time I would have had this finished and I completely forgot, so I didn't actually talk about it on the podcast or show you, but some time ago, in fact I think last year, I knit my daughter a mini Sogan-free jacket. I think that's a pattern by Guri Penderson, but I'll correct myself at the bottom of the screen if that isn't right. And for a long time I hadn't added on the buttons, but I had bought buttons in two different types. I'd been to Magalhães in London as well as Liberty. They're just around the corner from each other, and picked out some different buttons, and I ended up going for the ones that I'd bought at Magalhães, which are kind of coconut, I think, but they look sort of wood effect. And I have finally fully finished this little sweater jacket. So yeah, you can see I chose the coconut buttons and I think they look really great. This is a really lovely pattern. A friend of mine actually knit one for my daughter in a smaller size, and she was wearing that quite a lot, and then it got very hot. So I'm really happy to have another one in a bigger size, and I think it should fit her right in time for autumn, so probably September when she's going to be turning 1. So she'll be wearing this hopefully then. And yeah, it looks really cute, and I'm really happy that she has this in her wardrobe for the next autumn season. So that is finished object number 1. Finally got the buttons sewn onto that, and yeah, looking forward to my daughter wearing it. Next up is I had a couple of pairs of dungarees for my daughter in I think 3 to 6 month size and 0 to 3 month size that were not anything expensive, you know, from like Georgia Asda, or I think one of them was from Next, that had some nice kind of embroidery on it. So they were denim dungarees with flowers and animals and things embroidered onto them, and I couldn't find anything similar for kind of a larger size up to 1. So I thought, well, why don't I just buy a plain pair of dungarees and do some embroidery myself. and I really wanted to design it myself. So I had Procreate out, and I was gonna put some flowers together and draw some stuff and then print it out on stick and stitch and then sew it myself. And then I realised when my daughter turned 8 months that I would never have time to actually do that. So so what I ended up doing was ordering some stick and stitch packs from Etsy, from Nicole McRae Designs, that I'll link in the description below, and choosing one for these dungarees, and then I'll have a whole load more for other things I want to embroider as my daughter grows up, and at some point she'll be able to choose her own. And as she is loving strawberries at the moment, I embroidered this little strawberry onto her denim dungarees. I do love stick and stitch because it's just so easy to follow the lines, and like I said, it would have just taken me a long time to actually get something usable that I've designed myself. So yeah, that's the little strawberry. I had to grab this out of her laundry basket, so it's not exactly ironed or flat or anything. It's probably got some food on it, but yeah, I wanted to make sure I showed you. And what I did was I took inspiration from some little bodysuits that she's got, which have mice embroidered on in the centre of them. They're from Next, so I don't think they have them anymore, but they're just backstitch filled. So I thought I'd do the same thing because I think it looks really good. And yeah, that's what I went for. And I think it looks great, although I would say I used 2 strands of the kind of cross stitch cotton, and I would use 6 in future because it took so long to fill in this little tiny strawberry. And without further ado, I have to pause there. I will come back later when I've got a bit of time and chat with you again. Okay, so I am back, and I had just finished talking about, or mostly finished talking about, my little strawberry embroidery and the fact that it was very, very time consuming to fill in the strawberry with 2 strands out of 6 of the stranded cotton by DMC. So I am, next time I do one of these, going to do it with 6 strands because that's what I've seen on social media as well. But yeah, I'm very happy with how it turned out, and luckily my daughter will fit into this for a little while at least. Thankfully. I was a little bit worried when I put it on her that it might almost be too small already. But there we go. And yeah, I've got quite a few leaf patterns, some flowers and things like that that I'll be stitching on some more little outfits. And I'll try some different techniques as well. I think it'd be nice to do some French knots and some other types of embroidery as well, which is quite exciting. And it was a nice quick project too, other than the fact that the strawberry itself was really slow. It was nice and easy to just pick up for a little bit, do a few stitches and put down again, which is what I need in this season of my life, I suppose. On to knitting works in progress. So the last few episodes I've been talking about my Ginny cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and this is not a finished object yet, even though I'm pretty sure I would have said last time I'll finish it by the next time I record. Lo and behold, no. So let me hold it up again for you. So I'm doing 2 at a time sleeves, which means they are held together at the back at the moment, but let me get all the random strands out of the way. This is how it looks, and you can actually see it reasonably well. So yeah, the sleeve is over here, but it's connected to the other sleeve at the back. So yeah, I've just been chugging along at the sleeves every so often. I forget Sleeve Island is made a lot worse when you do 2 at a time, because it's double the time, and you don't really see the end until you get right to the end. So I'm considering not doing 2 at a time sleeves next time, but then that will mean that I have to pay attention to when I'm increasing, which is the benefit of doing it 2 at a time, is you just increase on the same round and you count 1 row, and you don't have to then go back and go, oh hold on a second, I'm supposed to be increasing 1.5 inches or thereabouts, and how do I know that I've done it? Sorry, decreasing every 1.5 inches or thereabouts. How do I know that I've got this on the right row versus the last sleeve that I did, and all that kind of, all those shenanigans you kind of avoid by doing it 2 at a time. But this feels like it's taking forever, and what I did to make myself feel better was I thought, well, you know what, it feels like the sleeve is still really short, let me steam block it and see if it actually is a bit longer than I thought, and therefore I don't have as far to go. And I did that and then tried it on, and I still have about 3 inches until where I want my cuff to be. So it's still a little way, but not too bad. That's what, two decreases worth. So yeah, I will get there. I should be done with the sleeves at least by the time I record next time. If you haven't watched my episodes before and heard me talk about this one, this is knit in Fibre Company Law, in the Ambitious colourway, and I pointed out last time that you can get 25 gram balls of this, which means that if you have a shortage, or if you only need a little bit more over the 100 gram cut-off point, it's really helpful because you don't end up with loads of leftovers. So yeah, this is where I am. Other than that, nice and straightforward, same kind of stitch pattern as we were doing in the body. This is a top-down raglan cardigan, and I love the collar, so I'm really looking forward to wearing this in the autumn. I suppose there's no rush at the moment, but I am conscious that I'm starting work again soon, and my knitting time may be 0 at that point, unless my daughter's really good at going to bed after she gets home from nursery, in which case our evenings might still be free and I can still do some knitting. And there's D&D knitting, of course. But there we are in terms of my progress. So yeah, you can see from the underarm onwards. So yeah, I'd say it was about 3/4 length sleeves at the moment. So another 3 inches until I'm going to start the ribbing of the cuff. And then after that, because of the way that this cardigan is, it needs a belt and some belt loops. So I am working on the belt separately. I haven't got very far, it's just double knit in the same colour. And yeah, you just keep going until you've decided that the belt is long enough. And then the belt loops are I-cords, so I'll be doing those afterwards. I don't imagine they'll take very long, but I think they might be a bit like sewing on buttons in terms of it's something that you just put off until you go, I should really get on with that and do it, because it's not going to be a finished object until I've done it. So yeah, looking forward to wearing this in the autumn. That is where I am with the project, and yeah, like I said, I wanted to be finished with it, but I am not yet. So getting there. Still loving it as a project, just feeling like the sleeves are going very slowly, slower than the body did. So, what's next? Next up, another thing I said that I would be finishing is the Cedarwood Baby Romper by Sandra Magalhães, who's AgalahosBughalos. So I still have some slight tension issues, which is the reason that I haven't finished this. because I was happily working the body, and then I got to the point where it measured enough to start doing the little flaps at the bottom that do up so you can change the baby's nappy, and I realised that my knitting is a bit wide for me to stop at that point. So here it is, and it looks super cute already. It's going to have little mustard coloured buttons here. The colourway is Evermore, and this is DK yarn by Loom Wool. And yeah, I absolutely love the way this is turning out. I have knit the 9 to 12 month size, but the width of this is measuring at the 18 to 24 month size. So I obviously want to make it long enough that it will fit my daughter at the point where she will be wearing this width of what's it called? Romper. It's the Cedarwood baby romper. Which means I need to figure out how long to make it. So I brought one of her 9 to 12 month sleep suits here. Whoop, there you go. Next. I love the next sleep suits. And I thought I'd just measure it on the podcast live and see how it looks. So yeah, so I'm looking at the width here. I'd say there's about an inch extra at the moment, and this hasn't been blocked. So yeah, just hold it up like this. So yeah, you can see there's about an inch extra on the side. So what I need to do is reread the pattern, do a bit of maths, figure out my gauge in rows, figure out how many more rows I need to do to make it the right size before I start the nappy flap. That's what we're going to call it at the bottom. So yeah, I think I stop increasing for now and just keep it as is, and then hopefully the hip increases will be okay, because I shouldn't need to do too much more. And I think on all of the sizing over 6 to 9 months, you increase at the same rate anyway for the number of rounds. So that is why I've stalled on this project, because I really did think I was going to have it finished, and I got very excited when I got to this point and went, yes, I can go on to the nappy flaps, and then I realised my challenge. So it's a good thing I didn't carry on and then try and fit this on my daughter and go, oh, that looks really odd. But yeah, I do really have these gauge issues at the moment. If anyone has any tips other than just learning a different style of knitting for this, and other than going down a needle size, then let me know. I guess it's just becoming impossible for me to go down more needle sizes, and I can't really force myself to knit tighter, and I don't really want to learn a different style of knitting because I feel like I'm gonna go back to the beginning again. So yeah, it's tricky, but I'm just gonna need to recalculate things for this particular project. Meanwhile, at least I've got it right on my Ginny cardigan, even though I have to knit DK on 2mm needles for that. But yeah, just to showcase the yarn here, isn't it looking absolutely lovely? I'm so glad I chose this one. And a slight segue onto acquisitions. I recently got one of these for a friend of mine. and had to grab one for myself as well. This is from Bubbleland Co. It's a yarn spinner. Looks like a lethal weapon. My husband keeps telling me to point the tip down, but this one in particular is a flower, and I got the Monstera for a friend, and they work really well. They're 3D printed, so I guess they're not as aesthetic and natural as the wooden ones, but they are so good at having an even spin and everything. It's great. So I just popped my ball of yarn that I'm going to be continuing with on here. I was a little worried when I realised I had an issue that I might run out of yarn, but I have most of 100 grams left here, so I think I'll be fine, even if I'm having to size up a bit. And especially because I've already effectively sized up. So we'll see. My daughter might not wear this for a while, but I have enjoyed making it, and I think it will be really, really cute when it's done. So there we go, a little bit of a stumbling block. I'll get that sorted out when I have a bit of energy to do maths and carry on with the knitting itself. Cool. I was going to leave it there, but I've actually been doing some knitting on some other projects. On one more project at least. I needed something straightforward to knit again whilst I was going and watching my husband, his mum and my daughter go swimming. I decided not to join them, just to have a bit of me time, and I was just watching them from the viewing area. So I wanted to just grab something that was small and portable. The other two projects that I'm working on at the moment are not small and not portable anymore. So I grabbed my Northeasterly blanket, and I'll show you, oh, let me show you that way around. So I have finished one row of knitting, or one column rather, not one row. So yeah, this is column 1. There you go. And I have started the next one. So I've also figured out how many columns and rows I'm going to be working. So this column has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. So I'm going to do a 6 by 8, which should work out okay. I think I originally had it in my head that I was going to do 6 by 4, but I feel like that would make the blanket sort of go the other way, because it would be longer this way than it would wide. So I think 6 by 8 will work quite well. And yes, I have started the second column, and there's this really great way of attaching the column as you work it to the side of the first one. So I am working on that, and I'm going to alternate here. So at the moment I'm doing a white one next to a coloured one, and this is using Advent Minis from Nora George Yarns, No Longer Dying unfortunately. And then I'm using just a plain sock yarn that is undyed yarn from yarnundyed.net for the cream colour. And yeah, it seems to be working really nicely, other than the fact that this chevron here is very tight and the others are looser, but I'm hoping I can fix that, or at least it will just be one on the side that's not quite the same length as the others. Yeah, and it's a really nice pattern, and the pattern is by Skeinanigans, and lots of people have used it for advent knitting and things like that, and I'm really enjoying it again. I am off away with my daughter tomorrow, and I'm hoping that this will be the perfect summer knit to take with me, as it's nice and light and portable at the moment anyway. So I'll just grab a couple of my minis and stick them in here and then take this with me. So yeah, really enjoying that again because it's so straightforward. I love the way that you work the chevrons. I think it's very similar to the big scarf that I did. I can't remember what the name was, but I'll pop it in the link below. That was a free pattern and obviously is a bigger chevron, but yeah, it's just so nice and easy to work it. Once you're in the rhythm, once you've done a few rows, you're all good. You can just keep going, which is nice. Yeah, so that is all of the knitting I have been doing. In terms of other things, I have dabbled a little bit in spinning. I've continued to practice my chain plying, so I do have that as an option to show you here. I'm still no good compared to my 2-ply or my 3-ply spinning plying. This is again some hedgehog fibres from a subscription, but yeah, it's a bit all over the place still. I haven't blocked it yet or washed it yet, so that might improve that. Again, I'll probably use this for something for my daughter, but I have some big undertakings in spinning to get on with soon, so give me 1 second and I'll be back to talk about that. So yes, the reason I have been practicing chain plying is that I have been working towards spinning for the Traveller Shell by Andrea Mowry, and I'm getting to it a bit later than I thought, mainly because I wanted to do chain plying and it's not going to work out. I'm not going to get a consistently good yarn to use for a garment that's that big. So what I'm planning on doing is using a 2-ply instead. Really what I want is a fingering weight yarn, so actually chain plying probably wasn't the best anyway because it will make it 3-ply and therefore thicker. So I'm going to go 2-ply and go with the safe bet. The yarn I have prepared for that is the Pinta Arenas mini braid sets by Spin Jones. And I'll give you a sneak peek of some of the colours here. Yeah, these are some of the colours. Some of the other colours as well. So I've got these and then I've sorted them into a bit of a gradient, from purples, pinks, oranges into yellows and greens. And that's how I want it to fade in terms of how I'm using the yarn. So what I will be working on next is doing a bit of a sample spin with that, with a little bit of each of these, and see how it turns out if I 2-ply it. So I'll probably do about the same amount as this, so something like a little mini skein worth, or maybe even less actually, just to not use up very much. But I just want to give it a go, get into the rhythm of how to spin it because I've got a lot to spin. So yeah, I'm looking forward to starting on that and actually getting on with the project. The fibre feels really nice, so it should be good, but I might do a little video just on what I'm doing when I'm figuring all of that out. And then hopefully I can get on with the spinning quite quickly and actually knit my Traveller Shell at some point before the end of the summer, or at least start it before the end of the summer. So I'm a bit gutted I won't be able to wear it this year, but maybe I can wear it next year, or you know, in the autumn maybe it will be warmer like it is now. So yeah, I love these colours and I was so worried about messing it up by forcing myself to chain ply that obviously I have been practicing, but I just don't think it's worth it, and maybe I save the chain plying for another time. Again, I've asked this before, but any tips on chain plying, just shout out in the comments below. I'm really trying to slow down. I think that's the key, is that I'm so used to just plying fast because I know 2-ply, 3-ply, I can just do that, that I need to just slow down, get into it, figure it out, but I'm finding it quite tough at the moment. Yeah, so let's see how I get on with that in the future. That, oops, sorry for the crinkling, that is everything I have to talk about at the moment. So thank you so much for sticking around during my absence, and have a lovely crafty time. I will see you next time I jump on and do a video. Bye.